Number 1. Misconceptions about Lebanon. When it comes to Lebanon, a sad truth is that many people don't even know this country exists. Some may have heard the name but can't pinpoint its location on a map. Lebanon is a country in the Middle East, covering an area of only about 10,452 square kilometers, making it the smallest country in the region. Situated on the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, Lebanon borders Syria to the north and east, and Israel to the south. Perhaps due to its small size and its proximity to countries that frequently attract global media attention with pressing issues, Lebanon often gets overshadowed in the international public's perception of the Middle East. When thinking of the Middle East, many people default to images of arid lands, vast deserts, and groups of people riding camels. However, Lebanon is a notable exception. It is the only country in the region without a desert. Instead, the natural landscape here is rich, featuring a dense network of rivers, lush forests, and high mountains that are snow-covered in winter. One of the oldest ski resorts in the world is located here, the Cedars Resort, situated at an altitude of 2,850 meters, famous for its steep slopes reaching up to 1 kilometer for downhill skiing. The highest peak in Lebanon is Kornat as Sauda, standing at 3,083 meters, which is also snow-covered in winter. Another misconception is that many people think of Lebanon as a conservative Arab country, but the reality is quite the opposite. Although part of the Arab world, the lifestyle in Lebanon is distinctly modern, often likened to Europe in the heart of the Middle East. Fashion culture is highly valued, with both men and women tending to dress smartly, and suits are commonly seen everywhere. The nightlife is vibrant, with clubs, alcohol, belly dancing, and even prostitution existing openly. It's not uncommon to see groups of men and women gathering around shisha, hookah cafes late into the night. Moreover, contrary to some common beliefs that Middle Eastern countries are solely Muslim, Lebanon is a multi-religious nation with 18 officially recognized religious communities. While Islam is the largest religion, there are also many followers of Christianity, Judaism, and Druze. Even the flag of Lebanon is a topic of interesting misunderstanding. Many foreigners, upon seeing the flag with a green tree in the center, mistakenly think it represents a Christmas tree. In reality, it is the cedar of Lebanon, a type of precious wood that was once highly renowned throughout the Middle East for its durability and quality. Finally, many people mistakenly believe that Lebanese people only speak Arabic. This is not entirely true. Although Arabic is the official language, due to Lebanon's history as a French colony, French is widely used, especially in the education system. Additionally, English is also very popular, particularly among the youth. Many Lebanese grow up in an environment where they use all 3 languages fluently from a young age. There are even stories that sound like jokes but are true, where many young people here struggle to read and write in Arabic, despite it being the official language, while they speak French and English as fluently as native speakers. Have you ever misunderstood something about Lebanon like this? If so, comment with the number 1 and share your thoughts below. Number 2. The area with the longest continuous human habitation in the world. One thing that very few people know is that Lebanon is one of the oldest continuously inhabited regions in the world. This land was once the cradle of the Phoenician civilization, a brilliant culture that emerged around 5000 BC, which is over 7,000 years ago from our modern era. The name Lebanon is believed to originate from the Phoenician language, where Leban means white, referring to the snow-capped peaks that surround the Lebanon mountains year-round. The Phoenicians were the legendary seafarers of the ancient world. They built famous cedar wood ships known for their durability and long-distance sailing capabilities, surpassing any civilization of their time. They were the first to dare to cross the Mediterranean, reaching as far as North Africa, Italy, and Spain. And there is even a hypothesis that they were the first to set foot in America, long before Columbus, based on the discovery of cedar wood ship remnants in those lands. Not only were they skilled mariners, but the Phoenicians were also masters of trade. They established prosperous port cities like Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos, where they traded valuable goods such as glass, metals, cedar wood, and especially the famous Tyrian purple dye. This dye was one of the most expensive colors of antiquity, made from 3 rare species of murex snails. Just 1.5 grams of this purple dye required 12,000 shells, making it worth 15 times its weight in gold. Consequently, Tyrian purple became a symbol of royalty, reserved exclusively for kings and queens, and in Rome, anyone who dared to wear purple without permission could face execution. Remarkably, this dye did not fade, but instead became more vibrant over time, showcasing the Phoenicians' superior craftsmanship. Even more astonishing is that they invented the first systematic alphabet in human history. Around the 11th century BC, the Phoenicians created an alphabet consisting of 22 consonants with a simple design that was easy to write, perfectly suited for trade activities. Later, the Greeks adopted this alphabet, added vowels, changed the writing direction, and developed it into the Greek alphabet. This eventually led to the formation of the Latin alphabet and the modern writing systems used in Europe today. The legacy of the Phoenicians is still vividly present throughout Lebanon. The city of Byblos is a prime example. It is considered one of the oldest continuously inhabited urban areas on the planet. Byblos still retains many Phoenician ruins, such as the ancient port, temple foundations, city walls, and old residential areas. Particularly notable is the Temple of Baalat Gebal, the city's protective goddess, along with intricately carved stone slabs that showcase the distinctive artistic style of the Phoenicians. Not only Byblos, but the cities of Tyre and Sidon also preserve many ancient remnants of this civilization. Number 3. Lebanon. From prosperity to crisis. Did you know that there was a time when Lebanon was wealthier than even the most prosperous countries today, such as Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, or Kuwait? From the 1,950 seconds to the mid-1,970 seconds, Lebanon was known as the leading banking hub of the Middle East. Its flexible banking laws, open financial environment, lack of foreign exchange controls, and absence of interest taxes transformed this small country into an ideal destination for capital. Huge flows of money from oil-rich countries in the region poured into Lebanon, and many international banks chose to establish their regional headquarters there. The Lebanese pound was so stable at that time that it was considered a safe haven currency. People from Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and even Gulf countries brought their money to deposit in Lebanese banks, trusting in the safety, transparency, and high profitability. Not only did Lebanon thrive financially, but its social life during that period also reached an unprecedented level of prosperity in the region. The standard of living was high. People had good incomes, enjoyed a luxurious lifestyle, and were unafraid to spend money on imported cars, French perfumes, fine dining, or vacations in Europe. Lebanon was also a place where people had access to quality education, with bilingual schools in French and English being very common, and literacy rates among the highest in the Middle East. The healthcare system was modern and comparable to those in European countries. Culture, arts, and journalism flourished, with local cinema, fashion, and music having a significant influence in the region. However, after a 15-year civil war, Lebanon was no longer the same. The country is now facing one of the most severe economic crises in modern history, yet the world pays little attention. Currently, over 80% of the population lives below the poverty line. The inflation rate has exceeded 200%, causing prices to skyrocket and making daily life more burdensome than ever. One of the most devastating blows did not come from war but from the very financial system that was once a source of national pride. The largest financial scandal in Lebanon's history occurred when millions of citizens deposited their savings in banks, only to find that when they needed to withdraw, the banks refused to pay. The central bank governor was accused of corruption and long-term financial manipulation without oversight. As a result, the banking system collapsed, and the Lebanese pound plummeted from a stable rate of 1,500 LBP to $1 to over 100,000 LBP USD in just a few years. Prices have skyrocketed indiscriminately. A bottle of cooking oil, a gas cylinder, or even a loaf of bread can have different prices each day. The costs of gasoline, electricity, and rent have become unbearable for the vast majority of the population. Millions of families struggle to buy food and pay for the most basic necessities. Those with relatives abroad who send money back in USD can manage to get by, while those who only have the local currency find themselves trapped in poverty with no way out. Nevertheless, amidst the crisis, the greatest asset of Lebanon remains its people. Despite the hardships, they are still willing to invite you for a meal, share a cup of coffee, and even refuse to take extra change from foreign visitors, believing it to be a matter of hospitality. This spirit has helped Lebanon maintain a special place in the hearts of international friends, despite all the challenges the country is facing. Number 4. Lebanese women are among the most beautiful in the Middle East. Lebanese women are so beautiful that people often say, if you want to know what Middle Eastern beauty looks like, just look at Lebanon. This small country consistently ranks among the top nations with the most beauty queens, fashion icons, and influencers in the region. Their beauty is a unique blend of Mediterranean and Arab features, resulting in a healthy honey-brown complexion, captivating deep-set eyes, a high and delicate nose, and sharp yet soft contours. Many say that Lebanese women possess a beauty that is both wild and elegant, completely different from the typical image of Middle Eastern women. In addition to genetic factors, the culture of self-care in Lebanon significantly contributes to this vibrant image. In many cities, especially Beirut, you will find hair salons, spas, and makeup studios as common as coffee shops. Taking care of oneself is not seen as vanity, but rather as a way to express self-respect, sophistication, and a zest for life. Because of this, Lebanese women always present themselves with a polished, confident, and elegant demeanor, regardless of the circumstances. People often joke that a Lebanese woman could step out just to buy a loaf of bread and still look like she's ready for a gala. What makes them even more admirable is that this beauty is accompanied by intelligence and strong independence. In the Arab world, Lebanese women are among the most educated groups. The rate of women pursuing higher education and working in professional fields is consistently among the highest in the region. You can find Lebanese women holding important positions as doctors, professors, lawyers, architects, entrepreneurs, or journalists. They are smart, sharp in their work, and unafraid to voice their opinions, defend their rights, and assert their individuality. Perhaps that's why Lebanese people often joke that if you argue with a Lebanese woman and win, don't celebrate too soon, as she might just be letting you win. This humorous remark reflects both their wit and how Lebanese men perceive their women. Not only are they beautiful, but they are also strong, quick-witted, and confident to the point that sometimes they choose to let you win, even though the victory was in their hands all along. Despite living in a region that has faced many conflicts, Lebanese women consistently demonstrate remarkable resilience. During the Lebanese Civil War, they played a crucial role in maintaining social connections, organizing relief efforts, coordinating informal negotiations, and helping their communities through the darkest times. Many historians refer to them as the keepers of the nation's soul. Would you like to know the secret to befriending these Middle Eastern goddesses from afar? If so, comment with the number 4. Number 5. The strange laws of Lebanon. If someone jumps from a height and accidentally lands on your car, unfortunately, you might still be subject to legal investigation. This is not an official law recorded in the Lebanese Penal Code, but it has happened and is considered a legal reality here. There have been cases where drivers had to report to the police, provide detailed accounts, and spend a long time proving their complete innocence in such an unimaginable incident. Another shocking fact is that for many years, Lebanese law allowed rapists to escape punishment if they agreed to marry their victims. This archaic practice stemmed from the concept of family honor in ancient societies, which believed that marriage would restore the dignity of the victim. This provision remained in place until it was abolished in 2017 after public protests and international pressure on the parliament. It stands as one of the clearest examples of how an outdated legal code can persist for too long in a society as modern as Lebanon. Lebanon's legal framework is complex due to the intertwining of civil law, religious law, and remnants from the Ottoman French era, which is particularly evident in marriage matters. Lebanon recognizes 18 religions, and each religious community has its own court system. This separation makes changing one's religion on paper an almost impossible journey. A person can practice a new religion in their personal life, but when they want to officially convert, they encounter a maze of complicated procedures, jurisdictional disputes, and hesitance from religious councils. Many Lebanese joke that changing nationality is easier than changing religion. A similar constraint exists regarding religious matters. To this day, couples in Lebanon still cannot marry civilly within the country. Every marriage must be conducted according to religious law and in the corresponding religious court. If two people of different religions wish to marry civilly, the only option is to fly to Cyprus to register and then bring the paperwork back. Ironically, they can divorce civilly in Lebanon, but cannot marry in that form in their own country. Number 6. Surprising facts about Lebanon. On average, each Lebanese person smokes more than 2,000 cigarettes a year. It may sound hard to believe, but according to the World Health Organization, Lebanon is one of the countries with the highest smoking rates in the world. Although the government banned tobacco advertising on television, radio, newspapers, and sales points in 2012, leading to a reduction in smoking rates by over 34%, this habit remains deeply ingrained in the lifestyle of many citizens. Another interesting fact is that being a doctor is considered a cultural pressure in Lebanon. 1 in every 10 people works in the medical field. making Lebanon one of the countries with the highest doctor-to-population ratios in the region. In many families, having a child become a doctor is not just a career choice, but a symbol of honor, status, and family pride. However, behind this facade lies the reality that many young people pursue medical studies due to family pressure rather than genuine passion. The number of students who drop out of medical programs after several years of study is also significant. Moreover, you might be surprised to learn that this country, despite being situated in a region rich in oil, does not possess large oil and gas reserves. Almost all of Lebanon's oil must be imported from abroad. However, in return, the country boasts one of the highest natural gold reserves in the eastern Mediterranean region. Although not yet exploited on a large scale, Lebanon's minerals are considered a potential resource that many countries must be cautious about. If you are a wine lover, Lebanon will certainly surprise you. Few people know that this land is home to one of the oldest vineyards in the world, with a winemaking history spanning over 5,000 years. Some archaeological evidence even suggests that the Phoenicians were producing wine here as far back as 7000 BC and spread the wine culture throughout the Mediterranean. Today, Lebanon's wine industry is thriving, with over 60 wineries operating in the Bekaa Valley, exporting millions of bottles each year to France, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Lebanese wine is renowned for its bold flavors and herbal notes, highly regarded by connoisseurs as a hidden gem of the Middle East. Finally, Lebanon presents another paradox that may surprise many. The number of Lebanese living abroad is even greater than the number of those living in the country. It is estimated that between 8 to 14 million people of Lebanese descent reside in over 100 countries, while the domestic population is only about 7 million. Conversely, within Lebanon's borders today, there are over 1 million Syrians and approximately 400,000 Palestinians temporarily residing, making Lebanon the country with the highest refugee density in the world. Number 7. Interesting cultural aspects of the Lebanese people. If a Lebanese person starts a new job, buys a car, or even just shares good news, the first thing they do is not to celebrate extravagantly, but to touch a wooden object. They believe that knocking on wood will ward off bad luck and ensure that good fortune remains intact. Speaking of interesting rituals, you cannot overlook the coffee culture here. Lebanese coffee has a Turkish influence, but possesses its own distinct flavor, typically brewed in a small brass pot called a rakwe, slowly simmered with water, finely ground coffee, and a hint of cardamom. Each region has its own preference. People in Bekaa enjoy sweet coffee, while those in the mountains prefer it strong and unsweetened. Despite the differences in how it is enjoyed, the commonality is that the coffee is unfiltered, leaving a thick layer of grounds at the bottom of the cup. This residue has given rise to a peculiar tradition: reading fortunes through coffee. After finishing their drink, people turn the cup upside down on a plate, wait for the grounds to settle, and then flip it back to observe the shapes. A friend, an older aunt, or even the cafe owner will begin to interpret your future based on the remaining coffee patterns. A circle might signify love on the horizon. A tree shape could represent a new beginning, while intersecting lines indicate upcoming challenges. Another intriguing cultural aspect related to the coffee cup is that if someone accidentally drops a cup on the ground and it doesn't break, many families in Lebanon will deliberately smash it to pieces. It may sound extreme, but they believe that if a fragile object refuses to break, it means bad luck is still lingering, and it must be decisively severed before it brings misfortune to the family. And when you stay in Lebanon long enough, you'll notice that the greeting culture here is even more unique than the rules for placing shoes. Lebanese people never greet the entire room at once. Whether there are 10 or 20 people sitting together, you must go to each person individually, shake hands, give a light hug, or place a hand on their shoulder to greet them one by one. With closer acquaintances, you'll see them kiss 3 times on the cheeks, from left to right, and then back to the left. Would you like to learn more about other fascinating cultural aspects of the Lebanese people? If so, please comment with the number 7. Number 8. How did the Lebanese Civil War actually begin? The Lebanese Civil War is one of the events that marked the beginning of a series of instabilities in the country that continue to this day. So where did it all start? To understand this, one must look at the religious structure of the nation. Lebanon is a multi-religious country, and in the early stages, the Christian community held the majority, primarily consisting of Greek Orthodox and Maronite Catholics. This was followed by Sunni and Shia Muslims, along with a small Druze community. A census conducted in 1932 revealed that Christians made up 51% of the population, and this result became the foundation of the political system. In 1943, the National Pact was established. This was an unwritten agreement between Christian and Muslim leaders that fixed the distribution of power among the various sects. The president had to be a Maronite, the prime minister a Sunni, the speaker of parliament a Shia, and other key positions were similarly designated. The parliament was locked in a ratio of 65 seats for Christians and 50 for Muslims. This very mechanism led to simmering tensions. In theory, it aimed to maintain balance, but in practice, it froze power along religious lines and failed to adapt to demographic changes. As the Muslim population grew larger, especially after tens of thousands of Palestinian Muslim refugees entered Lebanon, they felt disadvantaged as political power remained unchanged. Meanwhile, the Christian community sought to maintain its traditional privileges. This injustice accumulated over decades, pushing the country to the brink of conflict. By 1975, an incident in the city of Sidon was seen as the last straw, when the then president sought to grant control of the local fishing industry to a government-friendly business. The fishermen, who were primarily Muslim, protested, arguing that this was an act of robbing them of their livelihoods. A protest led by former Mayor Maruf Saad quickly escalated into conflict, and Mr. Saad was accidentally shot. His funeral turned into a massive demonstration that spread across the country, marking the official beginning of a 15-year civil war. The consequences of this war were devastating. Over 100,000 people lost their lives, millions were displaced, and infrastructure was heavily destroyed, from roads to hospitals and schools. The once thriving economy collapsed entirely. The divisions between religious communities deepened, rendering Lebanon's political system chaotic and prone to paralysis. The social wounds from this conflict still linger today, contributing to the ongoing instability in the country. Number 9. Beirut. The immortal city of the Mediterranean. Beirut is not only the capital of Lebanon, but also one of the oldest cities on the planet. For over 5,000 years, people have continuously lived here, leaving traces right beneath the streets of today. When a new road is excavated, one might encounter the foundations of Phoenicia from 3,000 years ago, Roman steps 2,000 years old, or Byzantine aqueducts. Beirut resembles a multi-layered cake, with each layer representing a complete civilization. Throughout its history, Beirut is believed to have been destroyed and rebuilt at least 7 times. This number comes from archaeological records, ancient writings, and the folklore of Lebanon. The earthquake of 551 completely devastated Beirut. The conquests by the Greeks, Romans, Mamluks, Ottomans, and the Crusades have repeatedly turned the city to ashes. Yet, after each destruction, Beirut was rebuilt right in its original location. The fact that a city has been destroyed multiple times yet still exists today has earned it the title of the Immortal City of the Mediterranean, or the Phoenix of the Middle East. Geographically, Beirut possesses a unique advantage that few cities in the world can claim. The center of Beirut is located right by the Mediterranean Sea. However, just a 45-minute drive east will take you to the Lebanon Mountains, which rise over 3,000 meters and are snow-covered year-round in winter. This makes Beirut one of the rare places in the world where you can swim in the sea in the morning and go skiing in the afternoon without leaving the city. Before the Civil War broke out in 1975, Beirut was the most progressive metropolis in the Middle East. It was home to the largest banks in the region, a hub for Arab journalism, and featured high-quality newspapers and magazines that the entire Arab world followed. The American University of Beirut, established in 1866, became an educational beacon in the Middle East, producing numerous renowned politicians, doctors, and scholars. Many refer to that period as the Golden Age of Beirut, when the city reached a level of cultural and intellectual freedom comparable to European metropolises. Today, despite the ongoing war and crisis in the country, Beirut still maintains its reputation as having the liveliest nightlife in the Middle East. While many Middle Eastern capitals close early and are quiet, Beirut operates on a completely different rhythm. Bars, restaurants, and clubs stay open until dawn. The music here seems never to stop, whether it's techno, jazz, or Arabic pop. The people of Beirut can still dance even when sirens are blaring outside. Number 10. Must-visit places. When in Lebanon, Baalbek is the largest and best-preserved Roman temple complex in the Middle East. Located in eastern Lebanon, it was once an important religious center of the Roman Empire, known as Heliopolis, meaning City of the Sunday. The 3 most prominent structures are the Temple of Jupiter, the Temple of Bacchus, and the Temple of Venus. Among these, The Temple of Jupiter features columns that rise up to 20 meters high, each weighing over 800 tons, making it one of the largest stone blocks ever moved and erected by hand in ancient times. No one is certain how the ancients accomplished this, as even today, it is difficult for machinery to move similar stone blocks. Meanwhile, the Temple of Bacchus, dedicated to the god of wine, boasts nearly intact architecture, with its vaulted ceiling, intricately carved walls, and sharp decorative details still retaining their form as they did over 2,000 years ago. Notably, despite being built on land that frequently experiences earthquakes, the columns have not collapsed, demonstrating the advanced engineering skills of the Romans. Every year, the Baalbek International Festival is held here, transforming the archaeological site into a unique outdoor stage where modern music resonates amidst ancient ruins. About 18 kilometers from the capital Beirut lies Jeta Grotto, a limestone cave system considered one of the most enchanting tourist destinations in Lebanon. The cave stretches over 9 kilometers in total, divided into 2 levels, the upper dry cave and the lower water cave. In the dry cave, visitors can walk among massive stalactites with unusual shapes, some columns rising over 20 meters, formed over millions of years by dripping water from the ceiling. Additionally, you can take a boat ride through the crystal-clear underground lakes, reflecting the shimmering light from the rock walls. This grotto is the main source of fresh water for Beirut, and a national pride, so much so that images of the cave were nominated as a new natural wonder of the world. Leaving the urban area, if you want to gain a deeper understanding of spiritual life and Christian history in Lebanon, the Qadisha Valley is a must-visit. This place is also known as the Holy Valley, because since the 5th century AD, it has been a retreat for monks, hermits, and ascetic orders. The monasteries here are not built on the ground, but are constructed against the cliffs, hundreds of meters above the valley below. The path to the monasteries often consists of narrow trails through the forest or steep stone steps. Some monasteries, such as Kwan Nubin and Deir Mar Elisha, have existed for over a millennium and are still active today. During periods of persecution, many Maronite believers sought refuge in the natural caves of this valley, living in isolation from the outside world for decades. In 1998, UNESCO recognized Qadisha as a World Heritage Site due to its exceptional value in preserving Eastern Christian culture. Number 11. Mysterious locations yet to be explained. The Ekmoun Temple on the outskirts of Sidon is one of the most peculiar archaeological sites in Lebanon. This complex is dedicated to the healing god of the Phoenicians, built in the 7th century BC, yet it features multiple layers of architecture from Greek, Persian, Roman, and Byzantine civilizations. What has puzzled archaeologists for years is why an ancient temple, originally associated with a native Phoenician religion, was continuously repaired and expanded by subsequent civilizations, instead of being demolished to make way for new constructions, as was typically done. Not only the architecture but also the water channel system within the temple has been a topic of debate. Water is channeled from the Awali spring into the temple through a sophisticated network of underground stone conduits, creating ritual bathing pools for those seeking healing. The perplexing part is that the water temperature in these pools remains stable and does not fluctuate with the seasons, despite the absence of any heating source or climate control systems. Some researchers suggest that the Phoenicians may have utilized the principle of thermal radiation through the stone, but the method by which they created this system has yet to be proven. Many ancient records describe that patients who bathed here often felt rejuvenated, making this site the largest healing center in the ancient Levant. To this day, the reason why the water source is considered to have healing energy has not been scientifically verified. Leaving Sidon and heading towards the northern mountainous region, you will encounter the village of Duma, an abandoned village with red stone architecture and a strange acoustic phenomenon that has attracted many research groups. Duma was entirely constructed from a type of red stone found only in the Bchare Valley, nearly 40 kilometers away. There are no records explaining why the ancients transported such a large quantity of stone through treacherous terrain for construction. Archaeologists have found numerous traces indicating that the village once thrived, but at an undetermined point in time, its inhabitants left en masse without leaving any records or signs of conflict. Duma is further intriguing to scientists due to the peculiar sound phenomenon in its stone alleys. Upon entering the village, conversations or footsteps echo multiple times as if someone is responding from behind, despite the village being completely deserted. Some acoustic measurement groups suggest that the stone wall structures and the arrangement of the houses create a strong reverberation effect, But notably, this effect only occurs at certain fixed points rather than spreading evenly like natural acoustics. Many residents from surrounding areas recount that on humid nights, they hear singing or the sound of stone chipping coming from Douma, even though no one has lived there for a long time. Number 12. The most amazing cuisine in the world. Many people who have visited Lebanon affirm that it is home to one of the most wonderful cuisines in the world. Lebanese cuisine is a harmonious blend of aromas, colors, and textures, prompting many Western travelers to reconsider their palates. Even seemingly minor dishes like salads can become the centerpiece of a meal. A prime example is tabbouleh, a salad made from bulgur wheat, parsley, lemon juice, and olive oil. It may appear light, but it can be surprisingly addictive. Another notable dish is fattoush, a salad mixed with crispy fried bread, fresh vegetables, and a lemon garlic dressing, offering a light tanginess that is incredibly refreshing in the summer. Lebanon is also a paradise for vegetarians. About a quarter of the population follows a vegetarian or semi-vegetarian diet, so the menu is rich with delicious meat-free options. Hummus is one such example. This dip made from blended chickpeas, olive oil, and garlic has gained worldwide popularity, but nowhere is hummus more revered than in Lebanon. At one point, Lebanon and Israel even engaged in a diplomatic showdown to claim the record for the largest plate of hummus. Lebanon ultimately triumphed with a plate weighing 23,000 pounds, over 10 tons. If you enjoy grilled dishes, you should try kafta or shish taouk. These are skewers of meat marinated with cinnamon, nutmeg, garlic, and lemon juice, then grilled over charcoal. The light smokiness combined with Mediterranean spices creates a flavor that even Texas steak would envy. Grilled meats are typically served with pita bread and a creamy garlic sauce. Additionally, kibbeh is a must-mention dish. This iconic Lebanese food is made from ground beef or lamb mixed with bulgur wheat and spices, shaped into oval forms, and then either fried or baked. Some even eat kibbeh raw, showcasing the diversity in its preparation. For breakfast, manakish is a popular choice. This flatbread is topped with a mixture of spices, including thyme, sesame, and sumac, along with cheese or minced meat. It resembles both pizza and toasted bread and can be enjoyed at any time of the day. Pita bread is always served warm with every meal, used for wrapping, dipping, or simply scooping up food. Lebanese people even joke that with just bread and lemonade, they could eat the whole world. Have you ever tried any Lebanese dishes? If so, share below whether you found them delicious. Number 13. Festivals of Lebanon you should know about. The Zouk Mikhail International Festival is one of the rare international music events held in an ancient town in Lebanon. Located about a 15-minute drive from Beirut, Zouk Mikhail is famous for its Ottoman-style limestone architecture and winding cobblestone streets. A unique feature of the festival is the stage set up right in the middle of the old village square, which was once the main marketplace since medieval times. Modern music resonates among the old rooftops, stone walls, and ancient trees, creating a distinctly different atmosphere. The festival usually takes place in the summer, lasting several nights, with artists from various countries such as France, Greece, Egypt, Armenia, and some well-known names from the Lebanese music scene. It brings together a variety of genres, from jazz, opera, and world music to traditional fusion, attracting not only young people, but also older audiences seeking sophistication in music. Heading from Zouk Mikhail towards the sea, the Byblos International Festival offers a different experience. This festival takes place right by the ancient port of Byblos, a city considered one of the oldest urban settlements in the world. The stage is set close to the water's edge, where torches and lights reflect on the sea, making the atmosphere vibrant. Performances here cover a wide range of genres, from pop, rock, and jazz to Arab folk music. Since it is organized in the old town, the audience can enjoy the performances while also experiencing the sound of the waves and the characteristic salty air of the Mediterranean. For those looking for a more lively and modern festival, the Beirut Marathon is the most popular event of the year in the capital. This is not just a sporting race but also a street festival, where tens of thousands of people from all walks of life and religions come together to run for a common goal. Participants often wear uniforms printed with slogans or banners from social campaigns, such as environmental protection, support for the disabled, or calls for gender equality. The Beirut Marathon does not discriminate based on religion or background, which is why this event is always seen as a symbol of rare unity in a country that has experienced deep divisions. Number 14. Cost of living in Lebanon. The cost of living in Lebanon today may surprise many, as it presents both pleasant aspects and hidden challenges. In Beirut, the rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city center typically ranges from $400 to $600 per month, depending on the location and level of amenities. If you choose to live further from the center, costs decrease significantly, averaging around $250 to $350. Local food is abundant and reasonably priced. A meal at a mid-range restaurant costs about $6 to $10. If you prefer to cook at home, a budget of $150 to $200 per month is sufficient for essentials like fresh vegetables, meat, bread, and Arabica coffee. Utilities such as electricity, water, gas, and internet usually amount to $100 to $150 per month. However, due to energy shortages, many families have to spend extra on private generators, especially during the summer, which can slightly increase overall expenses. Transportation within the city is not overly expensive. Taxis typically cost $2 to $4 per trip, while buses are around 50 cents. Nevertheless, the transportation system is not very modern, so many people prefer walking or using motorcycles for more flexibility. In total, an individual may need around $800 to $1,200 per month to live comfortably in Lebanon. However, if you plan to visit or want to stay updated on the situation, it's important to note that many countries, including the USA, UK, Australia, Canada, Jordan, Russia, Ireland, Saudi Arabia, and others, are currently advising their citizens to limit travel to Lebanon due to security and political instability. Number 15. Tips for travelers. One of the most surprising things for tourists visiting Lebanon is that restaurants sometimes add an unnamed service charge to the bill without prior notice. This could be a small dessert, a basket of bread, or a bottle of water that is placed on the table. You might think it's complimentary, but by the end of the meal, you'll find these items clearly listed in the charges. To avoid being charged for something you didn't order, it's best to confirm with the staff from the beginning what is free and what is not. In some tourist areas, especially in central Beirut or along the coast of Batroun, tourists are more likely to be subjected to this kind of suggestive selling because staff know you might hesitate to ask. Another thing to be aware of is the inconsistent pricing system. Lebanon has two parallel price levels, one for locals and one for foreigners. This is not considered a scam, but rather a natural response since tourists often pay in dollars. However, asking for prices in advance is still very important, especially in taxis, small restaurants, or markets. There have been cases where tourists were charged double simply because they assumed they wouldn't know the average price. When passing through sensitive religious areas, you should also pay attention to your clothing and behavior. Many neighborhoods in Beirut are very modern, but just around the corner, you might enter a community with traditional religious customs. Here, dressing too revealingly or taking photos indiscriminately can sometimes be seen as disrespectful. Finally, you should know that Lebanese people are very hospitable, sometimes excessively so. If you are invited to eat or drink tea, declining immediately may lead them to think you are uncomfortable. It's best to accept graciously, even if it's just taking a sip of tea. This is a way to show politeness and can make your trip much more enjoyable. And those are the facts about Lebanon. I hope the information provided has given you a fresh perspective on this country. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next adventures. Which fact impressed you the most? Please leave a comment below. We would love to hear your thoughts. The information is for reference only, so please do your own research before making any decisions.